Hey everyone, welcome to Detached Garage. If you're new to the channel, my name is Sean, and this channel is all about helping you plan, design, build, and upgrade your garage. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about project management, and more specifically, how to scope your garage build and the 12 different categories that can really impact the scope of your garage build. Stay tuned. In today's episode, we're talking about project management and more specifically scoping your garage build. If you remember from a previous episode, which I'll link up here, we talked about the planning process of figuring out how large and how tall your garage can be. Now, that really gets into a little bit of scope, but not completely the 12 key factors that I think you need to think about when scoping your garage build. Talking about project management, in my background specifically, I've been a project manager and a program manager for my full-time career for quite some time now. I've ran new product development projects that definitely totaled well over $20 million in capital to get that project from start to finish, specifically in aerospace and injection molding presses and molds as well. So I'll throw up a graphic right up here that really talks about the three main factors of project management. For those of you project managers out there, you probably know this as the triple constraint. You have scope, you have schedule, and you have budget. And in the middle, you have quality. Where you want to start is scoping your project. So once you know how big and how tall your garage build can be, there's a lot of different choices for what type of building you're going to build, what the foundation is going to look like, and we'll get into all of those in a minute here. So now that you know a little bit more about me and my project management background, let's dive into the overview of the scope of these 12 different categories that are really going to affect the scope of your garage build. I'll list them right here. Again, today's episode is just an overview. We will go into each individual category in more depth in future episodes. So number one, short overview, and it is what type of building you want to build. In my mind, there are three main categories of building that you can build for your garage. Number one, metal buildings. Very strong, very secure, a little bit expensive, and not necessarily ideal for possibly a conditioned space of work. Now, number two is similar to metal as far as the structure goes and how the support beams are oriented and whatnot. It's post-built or a pole barn style where you're actually putting footings into the ground with a post frame structure. I'm sure a lot of you have watched R&R buildings and their build. This is the type of building that they specialize in. Now, the third type of building that all of you are probably familiar with because you're living in one right now is likely stick built. And this is really the normal framing construction for a house. These three main types of buildings go into that first category of what type of building do you want to build. And that will really help determine this second category of what the foundation is going to look like. All 12 of these categories really feed into each other. So now, once you evaluate what type of building you want to build, then you can really dive into the foundation and the different types of foundations that go with that type of building. For a pole barn or a post-built construction building, you're going to have these pylons that are sunken into the ground where those posts attach to give the building its structure and strength. Now, the third category that really kind of goes with this is what the slab is going to look like. So what type of concrete slab, or possibly not even doing a slab depending on what your goals are with your garage build, you could certainly call it a barn style build where you have a post frame building and crushed gravel across the floor for your slab. That brings us into the fourth category of the build, and that's flooring. Once you figure out whether you want a slab, once you figure out whether you want gravel in your building, if you do have a slab floor, are you going to do tile flooring such as Swiss tracks or race deck, something of that nature? Or are you going to do a harder tile like a ceramic tile? You could also do epoxy. Lots of different pros and cons, and we will dive into a full episode on that in the future. Once you figure out the flooring portion, what style of slab you're going to have, what kind of foundation it is, and what type of building you're going to build, what you really want to think about is conditioning. And this can kind of relate back to the slab a little bit if you want to do hydronic heating or a heated slab, because you're going to need to specify that when designing your building as well. We'll do a whole nother video on that, but heating, conditioning a space, what type of framing is going to go up, that's all extremely important, because especially if you're doing a metal or a post-built building and you want to condition that space, whether it's just heating or heating and air conditioning in the future, you're going to have to go about the framing and insulation process of that building a little bit differently if you're going to condition that space. So, very popular trend right now, especially in the Midwest where I live, is you're going to have a hydronically heated floor. So you're going to have radiant heating coming up through the floor. And then in the future, you can always add a mini split air conditioning system that can also act as a heat pump as well to help heating in the winter. So we've gone through what type of building, we've gone through what the foundation is going to look like, we've talked about the slab, we've talked about the flooring, and we've talked about heating and cooling. Now it's time to talk about plumbing. So in my original video around planning, this is also something that you're going to want to check with the county to see if you can even have plumbing in your building. So with my building, because I'm now attaching it and it's an extension of the house, it's much easier for me to do water, drains, and bathroom, etc. in this building because it's an extension of my house instead of an accessory building. This might be different for where you live, but in the county I live in Wisconsin, it's much easier to do that if it's an extension of your house. So we're talking about not only the hydronic floor plumbing, but also water spigots. Are you going to have a pressure washer? Are you going to have a dedicated wash bay? Are you going to have a shower? Are you going to have a bathroom? And are you going to have a sink? So all those factors really can contribute to the scope creep or scope shrink of your building and how much it's going to cost in the future. After plumbing, number 7 is electric, and this is critical to plan out based on what type of appliances you're going to have in your garage, such as a lift, such as a welder. You know, do you need 240 plugs, or can you wire the entire building for 120 in North America? The other thing you want to think about with electric is, are you going to have a sub panel on your building, or is it going to be the main panel? And part of the detached garage philosophy and part of my goals and my dream for building this garage are to have it self-sustaining and powering itself and not contributing and increasing my electric bill. So eventually, we're going to go solar. What can I do to reduce future costs when I do put solar panels up? Build the garage to accept solar in the future and really decrease those costs in the future because I'm thinking about it now and planning for it in the future. I might not ever use that, but it'll be ready to accept solar in the future. Number 8 is lighting. I recently did an unboxing video of a garage door lighting kit. I'll link that video up in the YouTube card here as well. And we're not just talking about interior garage lighting, we're also talking about exterior. So floodlights, and this kind of gets into security as well, which is number 9. So what type of lighting, what type of layout are you going to be doing? Are you going to be doing any painting or detailing that might need an overabundance of light beyond just ceiling-based lighting and possibly wall-based lighting as well? So thinking about lighting is critical. How many circuits you need, what type of lights are you going to do? Are you going to do LED lights within the can form? Are you going to do high bay lights? All very good things to think about when you're scoping your garage build. We'll do a whole video on lighting, both interior and exterior in the future, to talk about the do's and don'ts and what some neat tricks are to do for lighting. Like we were talking about with those high exterior mounted floodlights or motion lights, we're now getting into number 9, which is security. Security is a big deal, especially for a lot of us. Our garage is our pride and joy, or we're storing our pride and joy in there. Thousands and thousands of dollars of tools, thousands of dollars of cars and equipment. You know, we need to take security very seriously in the future now when we're building this garage and putting lots of valuable things inside. So we'll have a whole episode on security systems, security lighting, camera systems, and also the normal windows and doors and what you can do to better protect your garage build. Number 10, siding. This is a big debate for a lot of people because this is really what takes your garage and either makes it look very close to your house, the styling, the decor of your house, or it takes it away and you have a very clear differentiation between what is the garage and what is the house. Fun fact, real estate professionals have said that if you match your house to your garage, you get about 10% more back on your investment in the garage. So if your styling of your garage matches more with the house versus possibly your house is stick built with some vinyl siding, and then you put up a metal sided, metal roofed building that doesn't match, you might get about 10% less investment back on your home value for the money that you put into that garage. So siding is important even though it's a commonly overlooked category in your garage build. We also talked about it just a second ago, roofing. If you have a metal roof, if you have an asphalt roof, if you have a tile roof, lots of different options here, and especially relating back to some of these other categories that we talked about. My roof specifically, what are we going to do when we put solar panels up there? What's the best roof to start with? Because I don't have solar panels yet, but I know I will have them in the future. Very key questions to figure out when you're designing it, but I also want it to match very closely to my house so I get that benefit back of that investment and get more money back for my investment. We'll go into roofing, all the different types of roofs, and what you need to do properly to set up your roof for where you live. In the Midwest in Wisconsin, we have to be worried about snow loads, we have to be worried about straight line winds. Not so much hail up here, but really the snow loads and the straight line winds are what we have to be worried about. These are key factors that you'll have to talk through with your designer or architect when you go to talk to them about your garage build. We've talked through 11 things now. Number 12, storage. Do you want to do a loft? Do you want to do cabinets? Do you want to do a basement? What type of storage do you want to do in your garage? This is going to be a big factor that impacts a lot of other ones, specifically if you're looking at doing a big array of cabinets, looking at the electrical routing. Instead of mounting the outlets down low on the building, you might want to mount them higher above the cabinet level where they're going to be more accessible once you get that cabinet workbench in place. We've gone through 12 categories which are going to properly help you scope your garage build, which will also really help impact the other two factors of the triple constraint triangle of schedule and budget as well. I want to hear from you. Did I miss any categories? Let me know in the comments below. If this video seemed at all interesting to you, or if you're interested in the more in-depth videos on these 12 different categories, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching Detached Garage.